Hey guys, what's up? My name is Fox and welcome to another video. Today's video is going to be a bit different. While I have already uploaded a few of my earlier clears of the Abrelshud raid, you guys always ask me about explaining mechanics in this raid. So that is exactly what I'm going to do in this video. I will go over the clear video that I have and I will explain the mechanics while stopping and going forward and showing you what is happening so you can get an understanding of how raiding in Lost Ark works at the very end game. If you want to watch this without any interruption, you can find it on my Twitch, where I will put the link in the description below. So I would say we then start. I will not go over all the very small attack patterns that are there. I will go over big mechanics that are very important to solve this fight and what we come across while we watch the VOD, obviously.
It was so close.
So
man.
just
Holy
as a in-between thing, we got a really close wipe before this clear. We were very close to clearing, which is why you hear me complain. But yeah. So basically nearly everything you see on the screen is always just stay away from it. Most of it is always stay away. Don't get hit. These hands, you don't want to get hit by those. They hurt. You don't want to get hit by these balls. They explode. Like most of the things that are popping up on the screen are simply don't stand in stupid, as we would say back in the days, right? Obviously there are a few other things, but we're gonna talk about them once we see them. The blue AoEs, the blue lines that you see are root lines. Oh, this is the first mechanic I want to talk about. It is actually a very easy mechanic. Basically the inside of the circle is safe and everything outside is not safe. If you get hit by the outside, you will then take a lot of damage and put a nasty bleed buff on yourself. So yeah, you want to sit in that safe spot in the middle where the ping is, as you can see. And yeah, that's pretty much it. But this one really hurts and can possibly cause a death. Then we have the next interesting mechanic, which is going to be a knockback mechanic. So Abrelshud will knock back everyone that is not immuning it. And then there are going to be two safe spots that you will have a lot of time to get into. But the thing about it is that there need to be at least 2 or 3 people in that safe spot, otherwise it will not activate. Have a look at this. I am using a super armor skill. Everyone else got knocked down and now we sit in the safe spot. You see here invincible maybe. And on the other safe spot is no one, so if you would be standing alone in that safe spot, it would actually not be safe. You can see the circle in our safe spot is filled out, while the other safe spot has no filled out circle in the middle with these patterns in there. And there's the explosion, and if you get hit by that without being in the safe spot, you are guaranteed to die, basically. Alright, so now these storms are coming. As you can see here, these things that are going around, they do a lot of damage. This is why I'm ulting now, to shield my teammates. And what's basically happening is that everyone gets a debuff. 4 people out of 8 get a debuff, and the people with the debuff need to basically avoid getting hit by those tornadoes, because if they do, they lose that debuff. And if you lose that debuff, basically what happens if you do have the debuff is that you will go into a second dimension where you then can kill a black hole that, if not being killed, it will spawn in the main dimension where everyone else is, and it will suck people in or push them out, cause weird debuffs. I'm not exactly sure. But what we're doing here is we're just ignoring them and we try to push the boss as fast as possible. We had to do this mechanic back when we started, but in the meantime we got better gear, so we can basically just push damage as much as possible to skip that mechanic. There you go.
Yeah, super unfortunate.
Now comes the first really harder mechanic, or the first mechanic where we have to really pay attention. Right, so what just happened is that I got put into a single dimension. As everyone else in the team, everyone's now in a single dimension. As you can see on my screen, there are weird symbols flying around. The same one always here on my screen, which is a pentagon, right? Everyone will see those symbols, and it's very important that you remember what symbol you see. There are obviously 8 symbols, so 1 symbol for every party member. There are pentagons, octagons, squares, triangle, hourglass, and then you have star, and yeah, there's the circle and double circle. I think those are all 8. So everyone will get a different symbol on his monitor or screen, and you have to remember that, because that's very important. So first you note down, we open our chat, I would type out now pentagon. Now another thing to mention is that you can see this weird purple blackish circle AoE on my character, which basically means that my movement is inverted. So if I put my mouse upwards, here I will move downwards. When I press upwards, I will move downwards, and vice versa, basically. So you have inverted movement to what you usually have, which makes this mechanic actually harder than it would be otherwise by far, because we'll see why later. So let's have a look. I just write down now that I have a pentagon. This is the safe spot. I was not exactly in it, but there's a safe spot here, and you get knocked back. Like you saw already now, you will see now my mouse cursor is moving upwards to put my character more into the middle of the screen. There you go. I moved downwards even though the cursor was up. Now what's important is that they're going to be safe spots now, and this is why we have to focus up with this debuff, this inverted movement. You will see now, I will make this very clear. I will stop the... There we go. You can see here that the safe spot is at the bottom left of the map. So we have to obviously go and stand into that safe spot, right? But that's not the only thing. You also have to remember what is the safe spot. So you have to note down, okay, this is square number 7. Squares are numbered by 12 at the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on by clock order, basically, right? So we are now on square number 7. And now, all right, let's pay attention. The purple thing disappeared, which means my movement is not inverted anymore. So now I have to move again like normally, right? You can see I'm moving to the next safe spot, normally clicking on my mouse, and then you will see afterwards again, I have again the inverted movement, right? You can see there is no movement clicker there. It just goes into the opposite direction.
750.
And as you heard me just say, the safe spots that I just went through were 7, 5, and 0, which is the middle.
Alright, 750. 7.
So,
5,
to sum up, I have the pentagon with 7, 5, and 0 safe spot. Now everyone's back together, and we have to, this is very important, you have to now stay close to her because she will now display a symbol. And as we can see here, that symbol is, for example, the square symbol. So the person that had the square symbol now has to tell the party where were his safe spots. Everyone has a different symbol. Everyone has to remember their symbols and safe spots. And we all write them in chat so everyone can look at them if they want to.
Alright, excellent.
And now we're going to go to the safe spots that are indicated by the party. Alright, this is not as interesting. That's just, again, the safe spot stuff as you saw when I did it alone. So, a few random patterns. She just sometimes reaches in front of her. Again, this is a mechanic you just want to dodge. Now, this is a counter mechanic. Whenever she disappears, she reappears, and then you can counter her to the way she's facing. So you need to use a counter skill, and then she's going to get knocked down for a short period of time. Again, the hands here, most of it is if you just dodge, don't get hit, avoid, avoid, avoid. Again, here the knockback mechanic that we've seen already before. I immuned it again. I stand in the safe spot, and you can see the Lance Master comes immediately to us because alone he would not be saving his safe spot. Now we go on to the next core mechanic of the whole game, of the whole raid, my bad. The Meteor Mechanics. So basically, while you are executing this raid, you have a constant flow of meteors happening. You have two types of meteors. One is a white meteor, which causes damage to one square that he lands on, unless you hit 2 squares with it. And then there is a yellow meteor that causes damage to 3 squares because it is so big and will destroy them immediately. A platform usually has 3 lives, so you can put 3 meteors on it, and then it will be destroyed at the 3rd meteor, basically. This is very important because you need to know that once you destroy more than 3 platforms, you will wipe until very late on, but that's a different scenario. So every minute there will be 1 white meteor, and at certain health bars there will be a yellow meteor. This means you have to a bit time when to push her to certain health bars so that you have already put down enough meteors and whatnot. This is a bit complicated, so I'm not going to go too much in depth, but just bear in mind this is a mini game that you have to play while doing all the rest. So during this cutscene, my whole group then goes upwards because we all start at the 12 o'clock platform, and now 8 people will get a meteor. You will now see them coming down. She summons them,
Guys,
and then you will have 1 yellow meteor and 7 white meteors. They now have to spread out accordingly. Number 1 at the top, number 2 at the top, number 3, 4, 5, 6 go to the left, and 7 and 8 to the right, because they drop in order a bit with time differences, like a bit delayed. And if now, for example, number 8 stands at the top, he will die because his meteor is not yet down. You can see now the top meteors come earlier, then the left ones, and then the right ones at the very end. There they were. And that's very important to split up properly there.
Trust me.
Right, so here we use our the Azena, the Esther, which is like a limit break. Offensive one in this case. And just random mechanics. Again here, the blue mechanic, where you get rooted if you get hit by these. And then a party member has to free you by hitting you with their auto tags or skill. It doesn't really matter how. These are just random patterns. Like you can see, most of this is simply just dodging, and there is a lot to dodge. Then this is also very important. I think every minute, I'm unsure about this, Abrelshud summons a specific meteor set. So she summons either a really big meteor that will have a yellow AoE in the middle of the screen. If you're in that, you're going to get knocked away and maybe knocked out of the arena. Or she summons these small meteors you can see at the top of the screen, these moving things there, exactly. And they will explode and then knock you away on the edges. So you need to make sure to avoid them. You can see we're playing super safe. We're trying not to get hit by them. They exploded just now. Super important to dodge these, otherwise you might just get knocked down. Because you can fall off in this arena, right? You can fall off. Multiple mechanics can knock you off. Abrelshud herself can do that. Every yellow AoE will knock you off. And here we go. The first set of additional meteors is coming down. 2 meteors at first, then 3 meteors, then 4 meteors, and so on. Again, we're starting at 2 meteors. So they place them on the correct tiles now in order to make sure that we are not overlapping them and whatnot. Because now we need to basically wait until the top platforms are respawned, until we push her to health bar 137, because that's when the next yellow meteor will trigger. And if you do push her too fast, you will then simply wipe, because you will then destroy the bottom part. And here we go, a yellow mechanic, very important. Yellow mechanics are the knockback mechanics. If you get hit by yellow mechanic, your death is near certain. I would say 70-80%. Depending on how you stand, you will get knocked down. So you either have to jump to space out of them, or you have to super armor them with an immunity skill. So yeah, double in a row. Very easy, avoid, otherwise probable death. Then here is a bit of a different mechanic. This has 2 patterns, this mechanic. You see now the tether plus red AoEs, which is basically the people that are tethered stay together. They have to, otherwise they take a lot of damage if they get split at the end of the bar above our head. And everyone else has a big red AoE they have to just take out, basically. The other pattern is that people stack all together with red AoEs on one person that has a bigger red AoE, and then it removes a debuff from that person. That is also very important, because otherwise that person will just die if no one's stacked. So here it's just simple. We all stay together, and then we move out here. As you can see, people with red AoEs move away. Now we chill a bit here. We wait for the platform to respawn. You saw she's now at, I don't know if you can see it, 139 bars. So we made sure to not push her to 137 before the top part of the arena respawned. So like I said, this is a mini game, the Meteor mini game, that you have to really pay attention while this whole raid is happening, because if you don't, you will just wipe to it. Alright, meteors came down. Now you see the platforms are lighting up a little bit. That means they have taken 2 hits. 1 more hit and they will be exploded. But here we go. The yellow meteor comes down. We all move upwards. The person with the yellow meteor goes to 6 and will destroy 3 platforms at the bottom of the screen. There's not much going on now. I can probably skip a little bit because it's all just like random attack patterns that are happening now. But the next big mechanic that we want to really look at is the Shundi Mechanic. So let's have a look. There you see again yellow AoEs. Again, if you want to watch this without my commentary and without me skipping anything, you can do so on my Twitch channel, because I believe that going through everything perfectly is just going to be too long. Okay, so here is the Shundi Mechanic. Why do we call it Shundi Mechanic? Because we use the Shundi Esther, which slows down time a little bit for us. But in general, now what's going to happen is that we are going to split out after this mechanic. First is a stack. You cannot touch the edge here. You need to dodge the pizza that is happening there. Now we go to middle. Boom. Small explosion. We go out and we split out across the map. Now what's important here, what's going to happen is that there will be balls coming from outside that spawn. Red ones and yellow ones. You need to avoid the red ones. If you eat more than 2 red ones, you are dead. And you need to at least eat 2 yellow balls to survive. At the same time, there will be black holes spawning. 1 big black hole in the middle, and there will be small black holes on random squares spawning. The one in the middle can only be dodged by using one on the outside. So basically, 4 people will get sucked into the middle black hole, and 4 people will jump into their small black hole, which then lets them dodge the suck-in. What happens then is that the 4 people that got sucked into the middle black hole will end up in a parallel dimension, and the other 4 will jump out of their black hole again and will be in the normal dimension. Let's have a look at this really quick. Here comes the Shundi. Alright, and now we see here the big black hole in the middle sucking us in, and you can now see the bolt spawning. So I take the yellow one. I have no black hole on my screen. I want to show you how a black hole looks like that is spawning, but there's only one here at the end. There you can see it. This is a small black hole, right? There it is. So the person on this square will take this black hole to avoid getting sucked in later on by the other black hole. We'll have a look, see how that looks like in just a few seconds. So here you already need to coordinate who goes where, because there's obviously more to this mechanic that I will explain once I'm inside of the dimension. So now I have this light curtain that will make me survive. Otherwise, without it, I would die. Now we get sucked in, but you see only 4 people got sucked in because the other 4 people all took their black hole, and they get now, after this suck-in happens again, they will then get dropped out of their black hole again, basically. It's a mechanic that lets you avoid this suck-in. What's really important here is that we now are split into 4. Now, there's people obviously in the normal dimension which have, in my opinion, a bit of a harder job. The people in the normal dimension will see clones appear on every single square. And then they need to look, they need to get really close to these clones, and they need to look, do these clones, are they turning around? Because they will turn around, they will have a specific movement. And then they have to ping them so that we can see, because the clones that are changing, the clones that are turning, they will appear in our dimension. So only 2 out of the 9 clones that spawn, I believe. Is it 9 or is it a bit less? Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 clones that appear. They need to be either countered or staggered by us in our dimension so that we can take a buff to protect us from when this dimension is getting deleted. So again, the people in the normal dimension need to check all the clones that are spawning, look for the ones that are turning around. They also have a yellow shimmer like you can see on the screen right now around them, and communicate with us where they are, because we have to counter or stagger them. So let's have a look at this real quick. I do nothing here because I'm waiting for a ping. You can hear the ping coming out. I go there you see it also on the floor. There's 2 pings. We go there, we pre-position ourselves, and now you will see the clone. There is the clone, it spawned. This is also the kind of clone you will see in the overworld, right? And now we have to counter this one, and there was an impairment at the top left corners, basically. And it is super important, because if you don't do this, you will not get the buff, which Axel took. Now you will see me take it afterwards. This was the first set. Now there will be a second set. The other group has to now scout again. Where is the clone? Where do I need to go? Where do I need to ping? They need to make sure they find them, because if they don't, we are a bit lost here. And there you go. Zender is pinging me the clone. So I'm waiting here. I'm ready to counter it. And impairment clone, I impair it immediately. And I pick up the aura here. And I'm safe. So this is a mechanic that requires good communication. And it requires also good placement from people everywhere. Well, we can now skip the rest. We go a bit further. Meteors just came down as they would. Normally nothing special there. And now she's basically, well, we have the yellow meteor now also. So we go down, we destroy the top of the platform again. The bottom one has respawned. Now basically she just does random attack patterns. Mostly, there's also going to be one more mechanic. But they are enraged basically. You can see they are similar to what they were before. Just they hit harder, they are faster, they do more damage. They are bigger, multiple things. This mechanic changed to be much faster, for example, right? This is an in or out look mechanic that you need to determine depending on the rings that are pulsating. Basically, she's now in an enraged version of herself, right? This is again the yellow one, just dodge. I'm currently thinking if there's anything really specific to go over until the next mechanic. I don't think there is. It's just a lot of patterns that are happening, right? Like the most patterns we went over already at the start. There are a few more. Oh, here we go again with the mechanic from the storms. Now this time I can show you actually what happens if you do not go into the dimension to clear the black hole. So again, I have the debuff. You can see down my debuff bar at the bottom right. I have this debuff, and if no one goes into the dimension, and there will be a black hole spawning because no one has destroyed it. This is obviously not very favorable, but you can just ignore it if the game allows you. With the spawn point here, you can see it has spawned, and we have to now deal with this. We're getting pushed away from it a little bit here and there. It's not a crazy deal, but you want to avoid this. You want to avoid for that to happen. Then you just saw, I actually want to comment on this real quick because I think that's interesting. These, oh no, I clicked a bit too far, my bad. There were these, yeah, there we go, on these here. So this is also one of the mechanics that can happen. You can see they are like cone-like cubes, triangles that spawn. If you do not move out of their range, they will knock you back. So you can see here that the Lance Master turned it around and our Gunslinger will now get hit by this. And he's actually quite lucky to not get knocked down. Because he's really, really close to getting knocked down. You need to know that if one part of your character is knocked off, you are knocked down. So it's really close. Here again, we have the Tether Mechanic and the red Aoes that will then leave afterwards. Here's a bit too much going on for my taste, so I pressed the time stop button because that was just too much going on. I didn't want to die here, so just safety first, time stop. Yeah, she just now continues to do random patterns, as you can see. I will not go over those because they're pretty simple. I'm not as in easy, but they're just not very interesting to go over. As you can watch this also on my Twitch VOD if you want to see more about these patterns. Again, we destroyed the bottom of the map now with another yellow meteor. I want to see one more mechanic real quick. All right, we're back in this mechanic, right? We saw this mechanic already earlier, but now it has changed a little bit. So there's half of the arena is missing, and this time the random movement that you get from your mouse, right? We talked about the inverted movement, has changed and is now completely random. So sometimes you will move inverted, sometimes you won't. This is why it is very common to use the Esther, again, limit break style, Inanna, which is going to remove that debuff. So here you see this circle is removing the debuff from me. So I don't have to deal with that because that's already very hard. This part is harder because it is harder to determine what the safe spot is. You will see this right now on a very good example. This time I have the hourglass, by the way. But you will see now. Alright, so I have the first one is easy. That was not the one I was meaning, but you can see the safe spot is in the middle. So I write down hourglass 0. And now this is right. You can see this is a bit rough, right? First unite, where is the safe spot? There is none. You can't see it, but there is obviously one here at the very, very left of my screen here. Which makes this significantly harder than before because if you will not have these here to indicate because they're gone. So now you have to really scout and be fast and make sure to not be too late, otherwise you will die. Right. And that's pretty much it. After we've done that mechanic, we knew, okay, this is it. This is probably the clear. The only thing that will now change is that she will be square. After we're done with this mechanic, she will then destroy more of the arena. We will take a look at this too. Okay. And then basically she will summon meteors, which is like a form of soft enrage. So you have to place the meteors on the outside, because if the middle arena dies, the middle square, if that dies, if that gets destroyed, it's a wipe. So in the last phase, it is very important. You only place the meteors anywhere but in the middle. Like you have 3 per square, I believe, and I also think it doesn't matter if you destroy them. But it is super important here to not touch the middle, otherwise it is game over. And as you also can see, here, if you get hit by anything that knocks you back, you're gonna get thrown off very, very, very fast, very quickly. So very important to really pay attention to what's going on. But overall, I think that was it for this video. I don't really have anything else to say. I hope you guys liked this way of my explaining mechanics. I know it's not like an edited video, but I felt like I just want to talk about the raid a little bit, show you guys how it works like. And yeah, I'm super happy I cleared this because now I can say goodbye to the Russian servers and start playing on EU. And yeah, it makes me super excited actually. So yeah, I'm really happy it's done. Alright, before we clear, I just wanted to finish what I was saying. And if you guys like the video, make sure to let me know. Let me know what you guys want to see as other types of videos that are about raiding maybe, or anything Lost Ark related. It doesn't really matter. If you maybe want to see actual guides in the future from me, if that would be something you'd be interested in, just let me know. And yeah, I think that's done it for me. I'm gonna play the rest of the video just for you so you see the reaction of the clear. And yeah, then I'm wishing you a great rest of the day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Out. Come on.
Yes! Finally! Fuck! Oh, yeah! Let's go! Oh, before you! Woo! Fuck yeah!
Kurz vor die Uhr, die ist noch geschafft. Sehr gut.
Gott sei Dank.
Oh! Nice, Jungs.
Checkliste Russland geschafft.
Nice.
Oder was?
I was MVP, by the way. Gaming.
Alter.
Damn, X, you fucking tryhard.